Everywhere you look, wheels and tires are getting bigger and bigger. We went from 14-inch wheels in the 1965 Mustang to 24-inch wheels on the recently revealed Cadillac Escalade IQ. That's a 10-inch increase in just 40 years. Yes, those are different car classes, but we didn't have SUVs back then, which is part of the driving factor. Today, we're looking at what's driving the trend for bigger wheels and why this is a bad thing. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video when I break down the different types of wheels. By the way, a lot of time and research was done to put together this video, and I really want to know what you think. So, while you're watching this, please comment below and share your thoughts. I dare you to try and find good 14-inch tires for an older Miata. I can tell you right now that won't be easy. The size of car tires have changed drastically over the past few decades. If you're wondering why, well, there's no one simple answer to that question. In reality, there are a few different factors that have been influencing this trend. For starters, one major reason has to do with car proportions today. The Hyundai Ioniq 5, for example, is basically the same shape as a 1980s Lancia Delta, but it's actually 20% larger overall. The Lancia Delta came with 16 or 17-inch wheels, but to support the proportions of the Ioniq 5, you're looking at either 19 or 20-inch wheels. Most car experts tell you that the trend is here to stay. Looking at the premium segment, it's almost laughable to imagine wheels and tires getting smaller. Nowadays, the only time you see companies advertising tires with smaller wheels is if a car is an electric, compact, microcar, or carbon neutral, for example. But it's not just car wheels that are getting bigger in a vehicle, everything is. I'm talking bigger batteries, bigger brakes, bigger discs, and more. Let's talk about the pros and cons of going big. Typically, large and wide tires have more rubber on the track. That's why larger tires normally mean improved grip and traction. But it's important to mention that small tires can also provide good traction by generating more pressure per square inch. Larger tires generally also provide better braking. That's because larger tires provide more contact patches and grip the road. Tires that aren't too hard or too soft are the ones that give you the best braking. It has to be just right. If the pressure's too low, the tires will have more surface area touching the road. That'll mean more rolling resistance and more fuel usage. But flip that coin, you'll see that if your tires have too much pressure, that can reduce their grip on the road and it become unsafe. Larger tires also mean better cornering because of better contact to the road, wider tread, and stiffer sidewalls. And of course, larger tires also provide ground clearance. If you travel often around rough and rugged terrain, higher ground clearance gives you an easier and more flexible ride. Wheels and shock absorbers will have more space to help absorb vibrations on uneven rough roads. And this means you also reduce the chance of obstacles on the road hitting the chassis. Lastly, there's aesthetics too. Larger tires are generally viewed to be more visually appealing. They make cars look hipper, sportier. But here's the thing, despite what others might tell you, bigger doesn't always mean better. First of all, if your car is equipped with 4 big tires, your brake system needs to work a lot harder than if you had smaller tires. The harder your brake system has to work, the faster your brakes will wear out. On the same page, your engine also has to work harder to support the extra weight from the larger tires. And that means it consumes more fuel. The weight of a tire affects the rotational inertia. Basically, that's how much effort it takes to start or stop spinning the tire. Heavier tires require more effort to get them moving. Believe it or not, at highway speeds, 60% of a car's energy is used just to push against air resistance. Larger tires also increase the weight of the vehicle, and that impacts the car's acceleration. The larger contact area of wider tires also makes the car harder to drive because large tires take longer to steer or return to balance after each emergency turn. Another thing to consider is car's technology. The tech in your car is calibrated according to the standard parts installed with it. But when a car gets enhanced, like when you replace smaller wheels with larger ones, well, the embedded technology in that car might not respond accurately. For example, if you were to upgrade your car's wheels from 16 to 19 inches, chances are it can error in the speedometer reading. It's known that larger wheels can throw off speedometer readings, which can result in drivers driving a lot faster or slower than they may think they're going. Tires on an EV are different than those on a gas-powered car. The greater difference between a gas-powered vehicle and an EV is weight. An EV usually weighs an average to 10 to 30% heavier than an equivalent gas-powered vehicle. That's why EV makers put wider tires with higher inflation pressure. EV tires have more stability to the tire sidewalls to bear the EV's heavy weight. Most of the time, this is done by adding plies to the tire. That's the internal structure that gives shape to the tire and rigidity to the rubber components in the bulk of a tire. In most cases, the higher the ply count means the more stability under heavier loads. For EVs to deliver high driving ranges, they need tires with low rolling resistance. Low rolling resistant tires, or LRR for short, are often found in hybrids and EVs. Slowly, they're making their way to gas-powered vehicles now too. LRR tires have less resistance when the tire is turning, and that translates to better overall fuel efficiency. The key is to balance LRR with grip. If an EV tire maker can find that sweet spot, they're all set. EV tires also need traction. Combustion engines build up power as they increase rotations. Electric motors, on the other hand, can deliver full power from the moment they begin to rotate. This means the full torque of the motor is immediately available to the wheel and the tire that's mounted to it. Problem is, if the tire isn't built right, all that power can result in traction loss and a spin out. In fact, this is why EV tires need to be stickier than gas-powered equivalents. More power is being delivered to the ground from a standstill. Extra stickiness means more rolling resistance, which is not good for efficiency. So EV tires need to find that perfect Goldilocks balance that's just right. To provide the needed grip, EV tires are also designed with specific stiff and wide center rib patterns. These patterns reduce potential slippage and abnormal abrasions. EVs are also known for their low noise levels. Compared to gas-powered vehicles, an EV produces low noise, if any at all. That's thanks in part to its tires. The heavier vehicle, the more noise its tires will make. That's why manufacturers have a few solutions like adding more padding between the tire and the passenger cabin. The thing is, too much padding means too much extra weight and complexity, which just ends up lowering efficiency. That's why one of the best ways to reduce this tire noise is to add more air into the tire. All that extra air almost acts as a pillow for the tire's noise to travel onto. It also makes a heavier car more comfortable too. Other techniques include things like specialized tread patterns and sound-absorbing foam and rubber compounds in the tire itself. Next time you see an EV tire, look out for the markings like HL, or high load capacity. EV tires will also have higher inflation numbers, and they will cost much more too. Now here's something you might not know. Most EVs don't come with spare tires. The best-selling electric sedans and SUVs like Tesla's, the Chevy Bolt, the Volkswagen ID.4, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the BMW i4, and the Mercedes EQS do not come with spare tires at all. It's the same story for hybrids like Toyota Prius. That hasn't come with a spare tire since 2016. If you've ever noticed this and wondered why, here's the reason. If the vehicle's ever in an accident, the spare tire can cause damage to the electric battery. Funny enough, the reason why there isn't a spare also has to do with wheel size. Because the wheel size is constantly increasing, not many EVs have room for, say, a 22 or 24-inch wheel as a spare. That's why many manufacturers decide to go the alternative route and use inflatable spares instead. Believe it or not, inflatable spares only take up 1/3 of the volume of a full-size tire. Other manufacturers have decided to go to the self-sealing or run-flat tire route. Even if a wheel is less than 20 inches, space to store it in an EV would still be a challenge. That's because batteries and electrical control units in an EV could end up needing the same space that is traditionally used for a spare tire. There's also the fact that full-size spare can add anywhere from 30 to 50 pounds to a car. Car makers need to meet the emissions and fuel efficiency requirements that are getting stricter each year. So, the less extra weight in an EV, the better. A 25-pound spare tire just isn't worth it if it costs an EV valuable range. Spare tires also increase the overall manufacturing cost of an EV. An average full-size spare costs to manufacture anywhere from $100 to $300, depending on the vehicle. But because EVs are usually heavier than gas-powered vehicles, they need heavier, sturdier tires, which are more expensive. You might have noticed there are many different types of wheels out there. They differ not just in aesthetics, but in durability and the impact on fuel efficiency. Many people use the word rim interchangeably with wheel, but that's where they're wrong. The rim is actually just the outer lip of a wheel. When a wheel is pressed from a single piece of metal, the rim and wheel are closely connected. But there are other methods of wheel formation where the rim and wheel are separate. For example, safety rims are the main type of rim you'll see on passenger vehicles. On these rims, you'll find bumps that extend inward and hold the tire bead to the rim, but away from the outer rim edge. Split rims are found in heavy-duty vehicles like tractors and forklifts. Multi-piece wheels can be dangerous if they are suddenly separated. And when I say dangerous, I mean explosive. That's why in most cases, you'll rarely see split rims on passenger vehicles. Then there's the most unique type of rim, beadlock rims. Beadlock rims are based on off-roading. With these rims, the tire bead is physically clamped to the rim. Generally, when tires have low pressure and are underinflated, there's a higher chance they'll come away from the rim. But with beadlock rims, that's not a problem. That's because they create connections that don't rely on air pressure. The thing is, most beadlock rims aren't legal for road use because bolts that hold the tire to the rim can loosen. In most cases, heavy beadlock rims are only really seen in off-road use. Another key difference in wheels is the materials they're made out of. The material of a wheel determines its price, weight, and durability. Steel wheels are the least expensive option and they're durable. If you damage them, they're easy to repair. That's why more car makers use steel wheels. The problem is, steel wheels don't look very good. Because of this, most car makers also cover them with wheel covers. Steel wheels are also the heaviest wheels out there. That's why most people only use steel wheels in the winter months when you need something heavy duty and durable. Steel wheels are typically pressed from sheet metal and welded together. This is another reason why steel wheels are so limited in design. Then there's alloy wheels. Alloy wheels mix multiple metals to gain advantages of each metal. One of the main metals is aluminum. That's why you sometimes hear alloy wheels called aluminum rims. Alloy wheels are lighter than steel wheels. This makes them the smarter choice for high-performance driving. They're also viewed as a lot more attractive compared to clunky old steel wheels. Alloy wheels also offer better heat dissipation. This means when you brake hard, these wheels decrease the rate of brake failure from overheating. And then there's carbon fiber wheels. Carbon fiber wheels are strong and light and good looking. Needless to say, they're also the most expensive wheels on the market. One reason is because if you damage them, they can't be repaired like steel or alloy wheels. That's why, besides the Shelby GT350R, it's unlikely you'll see carbon fiber wheels on a serious performance car. But now you tell me, do you prefer larger or smaller wheels? Please share by commenting below. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for your support.